The spacecraft shook violently, alarms blaring as sparks flew across the console, and Captain Mara gripped the controls so tightly her knuckles turned white, our eyes wide with fear as the barren planet below grew closer, its jagged mountains, and deep craters stretching endlessly under a pale gray sky. The engine sputtered and groaned, fire licking from the damaged thrusters, and with a deafening crash, the ship slammed onto the rocky surface, sliding across the uneven ground before finally skidding to a halt, sending Mara tumbling against the cockpit wall. Smoke filled the cabin, stinging her lungs, and she coughed, wiping blood from her forehead, trying to make sense of what had just happened. The world outside was silent, lifeless, and cold, the kind of silence that pressed against her chest and made her shiver. Stepping cautiously from the wreckage, Mara scanned the gray plains, her heart racing with the awareness that she was utterly alone until she saw it. A faint shimmer in the distance, moving against the wind, something alive but unlike anything she had ever seen. She froze, her instincts screaming to run, but curiosity rooted her to the spot as the figure slowly approached. It was small, fragile, and its skin glowed faintly in the dim light, reflecting a strange, liquid silver hue. Its eyes were enormous and luminous, filled with intelligence and fear at the same time. And Mara realized that it was injured, its movements slow and deliberate. Every instinct told her to be cautious, yet a strange sense of empathy surged inside her. A feeling that she had to help it if she wanted any chance to survive on this dead planet. She reached for a flare in her belt, ready to defend herself. But the alien did not move aggressively. Instead, it tilted its head, observing her with curious eyes, as if trying to understand her intentions. Mara lowered the flare, speaking softly even though she did not know if it could understand. "Won't hurt you," she whispered, her voice shaking. The alien's glow pulsed gently in response, and for a moment, they simply stared at each other, two survivors stranded on a lifeless world united by circumstance. Slowly, she gestured toward a nearby rocky outcrop that could provide shelter from the biting wind. The alien hesitated, then limped after her, its movements cautious, but surprisingly fast when it needed to be. Mara helped it over a jagged stone, supporting its injured leg, and in that simple act, their fragile alliance began. As they huddled together under the outcrop, Mara realized the planet was more dangerous than she had first imagined. The wind carried strange sounds, distant echoes, of something moving across the plains, too large to be her imagination. Her mind raced, considering predators, natural hazards, and the unknown energy that seemed to pulse from the alien itself. Yet despite the fear, a sense of connection grew stronger, an unspoken understanding that they were both alone and alone. Together. Hours passed as Mara tended to the alien's wound with the limited supplies she had salvaged. Improvising with strips of cloth and emergency gel from the ship, the alien emitted soft hums and flashes of light, as if communicating in ways she could not yet comprehend, but each gesture seemed reassuring. Outside, the shadows stretched across the frozen plains, and Mara felt a chill, not from the cold, but from the feeling of being watched. The wind carried distant rumbles, hinting at movement beyond the horizon. Perhaps a predator drawn by the alien's presence. Perhaps something even worse. She pressed the alien closer, protective and wary, her mind running through every contingency. But even in fear, a flicker of hope burned. She was not completely alone. Together, they could survive, navigate this strange world, and perhaps uncover its secrets. Mara stared out into the endless gray, the alien at her side. And for the first time since the crash, she felt a determination take hold, stronger than fear, stronger than exhaustion. Whatever dangers lay ahead, she would face them with this mysterious creature, trusting instincts she had never relied on before. Knowing that the survival of both depended on the choices they would make in the hours to come, and just as the wind howled through the jagged rocks, a faint movement caught her Ajah's shadow, massive and deliberate, creeping across the plains toward them. And Mara's heart leaped in terror as she realized that the true danger of this planet was only beginning to reveal itself, and that the night would not be long enough to hide them from what was coming. The cold wind cut through the rocky plains like a blade, and Mara and the alien huddled together under the makeshift shelter. Of the crashed ship's debris, the night stretching endlessly around them, full of unknown threats and unseen dangers. Mara had tended to the alien's injured leg, wrapping it as best she could with scraps from her emergency kit. And in return, the creature pulsed softly, its glow warm and reassuring, as if acknowledging her help. Every so often it emitted low hums and flashes of light, movements Mara could not interpret. But she sensed an intelligence and awareness far beyond anything human. A mind that seemed to observe her thoughts and intentions even without words. As they ventured out at first light, the barren landscape revealed its harsh reality. Jagged cliffs, deep craters, and strange rock formations that seemed almost alive in the early sun. Mara led the way cautiously, scanning for threats, while the alien moved beside her with a grace that belied its fragility, occasionally stopping to emit a soft light that illuminated safe paths and warning signals. They stumbled upon the ruins of a long-dead civilization, half buried under ash and dust, and Mara felt a thrill of curiosity mixed with dread. Strange structures rose like broken spires. Symbols carved into walls glowed faintly as the alien approached, and Mara realized that the world they had landed on was not only deadly but ancient, holding secrets that even the aliens seemed hesitant to reveal. Every shadow moved unnaturally, and every distant sound made her heart leap, a rock tumbling, the whisper of wind, or perhaps something larger. Following them, watching, waiting for a moment of weakness. Yet, despite the fear, a bond of necessity formed between Mara and the alien. She noticed how it paused when she hesitated, nudged her gently forward, and guided her over treacherous terrain, showing an instinctive understanding of survival that she could not ignore. Mara, in turn, protected it, moving obstacles from its path, shielding it when stones fell from unstable cliffs, and in those moments, trust began to grow. Fragile, but undeniable. Hours passed as they explored the ruins, and Mara discovered strange devices embedded in the walls, panels that glowed with alien energy when the creature neared, causing it to shiver and retreat slightly, hinting that the ruins held memories or dangers it could not face. She reached out to touch them, and the alien reacted, emitting a brief flare of light, a warning perhaps, or a guide to understanding the technology. Mara understood instinctively that the alien knew far more than it revealed, and that the survival of both depended on cooperation. As the day turned to dusk, they found a narrow cavern that offered shelter from the freezing wind, and Mara gathered what little fire she could. The alien sitting silently beside her, glowing softly in the shadows. The sounds outside shifted low, rumbles and movements that suggested they were being watched. Mara's pulse quickened, but the alien pressed close, and for the first time, she felt a strange comfort in its presence, a connection that went beyond words. It seemed to communicate through light and hums, warning her of dangers she could not see, while she offered protection and warmth in return. In that uneasy alliance, a silent promise formed. They would survive together, navigating the deadly terrain and unraveling the planet's mysteries, one step at a time. As night deepened, the shadows outside the cavern stretched and shifted, and Mara realized that the predator that haunted the plains had not given up. It was waiting for them. Patient, intelligent, drawn by the alien's presence, she gripped her makeshift weapon tightly, glancing at the creature beside her. Its glow dim but steady, and knew that they would face the coming danger together, relying on courage, instincts, and trust that had grown faster than either of them could imagine. Somewhere in the distance, a low growl echoed across the plains, sending a shiver down her spine, and Mara whispered, almost to herself, "We'll survive. We have to survive." And in that moment, the alien's glow brightened, as if confirming her words, binding them together in the harsh reality of the dead planet. A fragile alliance that might be the only chance for both of their lives. As the pale light of the planet filtered through cracks in the cavern ceiling, Mara noticed the alien's glow flicker strangely, brighter and warmer than before, as if it wanted her to follow. With cautious steps, they moved deeper into the cavern, winding through jagged rocks and alien formations that pulsed faintly under the creature's light. Mara realized that the alien wasn't just guiding her for survival, it was leading her somewhere important. She followed silently, senses alert, every noise amplified in the vast, empty cavern. Aware that predators or the planet itself could strike at any moment, finally they entered a chamber filled with strange, hovering devices and symbols etched into crystalline walls, glowing faintly in response to the alien's presence. Mara stepped closer, her curiosity overpowering fear, and touched one of the panels. Immediately, visions flooded her mind, not her memories, but memories of another world, another civilization. She saw a shining city floating above a bright blue planet, beings with luminous silver skin communicating with light and sound, building technology far beyond human comprehension. Then the images shifted to chaos, fleets of warships cutting through the skies, fire-consuming cities, and a young alien, the same one beside her, watching helplessly as its world was destroyed. Mara stumbled back, overwhelmed by the flood of emotions and knowledge, clutching her head as the alien emitted soft hums and pulses, calming her, reassuring her without words. Through a sudden connection, Mara felt the alien's thoughts. Grief, fear, and determination, its desire to protect its secret from falling into the wrong hands. The chamber hummed with energy, responding to the alien's presence, and Mara realized the creature had been leading her to this place, not randomly, but because she was meant to see, meant to understand, meant to help. Among the floating devices, one sphere glowed brighter than the rest, radiating warmth and power. And Mara sensed it held the key to the alien's purpose, the secret it had been guarding for centuries. But the moment she reached toward it, a low rumble shook the chamber, dust falling from the ceiling, and shadows moved at the edges of the light, suggesting something or someone was approaching. Mara glanced at the alien, whose glow intensified, signaling both warning and trust, and she knew they had little time. With careful movements, guided by the alien, she activated part of the device, and the chamber projected more visions, plans, weapons, technologies that could either save civilizations or destroy them completely, depending on who controlled them. Mara's mind raced, realizing the magnitude of the secret, the danger they were in, and the responsibility that now lay in their hands. The alien nudged her forward, urging her to continue, to trust it fully, and as she stepped closer to the glowing sphere, the shadows outside surged, massive and deliberate, closing in, drawn by the alien's energy. Mara's pulse quickened, but she gripped the alien's side, feeling its warmth and strength, and in that instant, understood that their survival and the fate of this secret depended entirely on their bond, their courage, and the choices they would make together. The shadows loomed nearer, the rumbling grew louder, and Mara realized that the true test was only beginning this chamber. This secret and the alien's trust would be challenged like never before, and the coming danger would demand everything they had, leaving her on the edge of fear and determination. Ready to face whatever the dead planet would throw at them next, Mara and the alien raced through the twisting tunnels beneath the cavern, the air thick with dust and the metallic tang of ancient machinery, each footstep echoing ominously as distant. Rumbles shook the ground, and loose rocks tumbled around them, reminding Mara that hesitation could mean death. The alien glowed softly, pulsing rhythmically to guide her through narrow passages that twisted in impossible angles, almost as if the planet itself was testing them, trying to confuse them, and Mara clung to its light as both guide and shield. Outside, the winds of the barren planet howled through fissures in the rock, carrying with them echoes that sounded almost like whispers. And Mara's heart leaped with every movement she sensed, wondering what predators or automated defenses the planet might be sending to hunt them. Suddenly, a massive shadow lunged from a narrow corridor, claws scraping the stone, teeth glinting in the alien's light, and Mara froze, adrenaline pumping through her veins as the creature's growls shook the air. The alien surged forward, emitting a brilliant flash of light from its body that temporarily stunned the predator. Mara seized the moment, dragging the creature behind her as they sprinted down a sloping tunnel that narrowed dangerously. Rocks fell around them, the ground giving way in places, and every misstep could send them plummeting into jagged spikes below. Yet the alien's guidance was flawless, leading her safely through paths Mara would never have found alone. Perhaps only minutes passed in a blur of fear and motion as they navigated collapsing corridors. Pools of glowing liquid that hissed and burned at the touch, and sharp crystalline formations that rose like jagged knives from the ground. Mara realized that raw speed alone would not save them. They had to rely on instinct, courage, and the strange bond they shared. The alien's pulses communicated warnings, lighting the safest path, and Mara began to sense its emotion sphere. Urgency, determination, and she matched them with her own, moving as one with her unlikely companion. At one point they reached a vast chamber, the ceiling high above, dotted with remnants of alien technology humming faintly, and the predator was close behind, circling like a shadow waiting to strike. The alien's light flared brighter, and Mara understood that the creature was preparing a final defense. A surge of energy that could buy them precious seconds, but also risk drawing even more attention. With a deep breath, she followed its lead, sprinting across precarious platforms, while the predator lunged repeatedly, its massive claws scraping dangerously close. Dust and debris fell, echoing through the chamber, and Mara felt her muscles scream with exhaustion, yet she pushed forward, relying on the alien's guidance. Their survival tied together in a dance of instinct and courage. Finally, they reached a narrow stair carved into the rock, leading to a platform overlooking an enormous chamber filled with strange alien machinery that hummed with life, the energy radiating from it almost tangible. Mara paused for only a moment to catch her breath, glancing back to see the predator hesitate at the edge of the platform, uncertain of the leap. The alien's glow pulsed steadily beside her, a signal that it was ready to move. And Mara felt a surge of determination, whatever lay ahead in the chamber. Whatever secrets the alien had been protecting, they would face it together. But just as they prepared to descend, the rumble of the planet beneath them grew louder, and Mara realized with a shiver that the true danger was far from over. The planet itself seemed alive, testing them, pushing them towards something she could not yet understand, and the predator's presence was only the beginning. She tightened her grip on the alien, feeling its warmth, and knew that the next steps would require every ounce of courage, trust, and cleverness they possessed, because the chamber below held secrets that could change everything, and failure could mean not just their deaths, but the loss of a knowledge that had survived centuries waiting for them to uncover it. Mara and the alien stepped cautiously into the enormous chamber, the walls shimmering with faint, pulsing lights that cast eerie shadows across the ancient technology surrounding them. And Mara felt her chest tighten as the weight of centuries pressed down in that moment. The air hummed with energy, alive with the resonance of machines long dormant, yet still aware. And the alien's glow brightened as it moved toward the center of the room, guiding Mara to a platform where a sphere floated, radiating warmth and power, casting long, twisting shadows that seemed to reach for them. As Mara approached, the sphere projected images into the air holograms of a civilization that had once thrived here. Cities floating above oceans of liquid light. Beings of silver skin communicating through pulses of energy, constructing incredible machines and exploring the stars with wonder and wisdom. And then the images turned dark. Fleets of warships firing beams that razed entire cities, families disappearing in flashes of light. Entire planets consumed in moments, and Mara realized that the alien she had come to trust was the last guardian of a civilization destroyed by war and greed, a keeper of knowledge that could either save countless lives or bring untold destruction if misused. The alien pulsed rapidly, communicating urgency and fear through light, guiding Mara to a console filled with symbols she could barely comprehend. Yet she somehow understood the meaning. The sphere held the power to restore dying worlds, to defend civilizations from annihilation, but also to destroy them entirely if wielded wrongly. As she touched the console, the chamber reacted violently. Walls shifted, panels glowed brighter, and a low rumble shook the ground as if the planet itself were alive, testing their courage and intentions. Shadows at the chamber's edges moved unnaturally, perhaps automated defenses or other predators drawn to the energy. And Mara felt fear tighten around her heart, knowing that any mistake could be fatal. The alien pressed close, its glow pulsating. With reassurance and warning, and Mara felt a connection unlike anything she had known, a bond of trust and mutual understanding that transcended language. Step by careful step, she activated the sphere. Feeling a surge of energy course through the chamber, illuminating hidden rooms filled with powerful devices capable of altering life and death, energy weapons and star mapping systems of incredible precision. The planet seemed to respond to their actions, vibrations running through the floor, as though it were alive and aware, testing their intentions. Mara realized that this was a final trial, a challenge of wisdom, courage, and compassion. And she could feel the weight of the alien species and history pressing upon her, demanding that she make the right choice. The shadows surged closer, and distant growls echoed from the depths of the chamber, the predator or other forces drawn to the sphere's energy. But the alien emitted a brilliant pulse, stabilizing the room just enough to give them time. Instinct Mara had told her to run, to flee from the power and danger. But she stayed, gripping the alien, letting their bond guide her, trusting in the creature's knowledge and in herself. Images continued to flash past wars, lost worlds, civilizations saved, and civilizations destroyed, and Mara realized that the fate of not just this planet, but perhaps countless others depended on the choices she and the alien made in the next moment. As she prepared to descend deeper into the chamber, following the alien to the sphere's core, the rumble intensified, dust falling from the ceiling, and Mara knew that the real test was about to begin, to protect the knowledge, survive the dangers, and prove that she was worthy of the trust the alien had placed in her. The shadows edged closer, the chamber's lights flickered, and Mara felt her pulse quicken, but with the alien by her side, she stepped forward, ready to face the unknown, understanding that the decisions made in the coming moments would not only determine their survival, but could shape the future of entire worlds. Mara and the alien stood at the heart of the chamber, the sphere of energy hovering above the platform, pulsing with warmth and power, casting long, twisting shadows that seemed to move with a life of their own. And Mara felt the full weight of what they faced, the secret of a lost civilization, a weapon of creation and destruction, a responsibility far beyond anything she had ever imagined. The alien's glow brightened, its body pulsing in rhythm with the sphere, communicating urgency, trust, and a silent warning. The chamber was alive, aware of their presence, and every choice they made now could change the fate of worlds. Dust fell from the ceiling as the planet trembled beneath them, and from the shadows at the chamber's edges, shapes began to move, predators or automated guardians drawn by the energy. Circling and waiting for a mistake, their growls and mechanical hums echoing ominously. Mara's heart raced, but she took a deep breath, feeling the alien's warmth and strength at her side, and understood that the only way to survive was to trust it completely and rely on the bond they had formed through trials, fear, and courage. Step by step, she followed its guidance, activating consoles and devices that responded only to the combined presence of human and alien. And the sphere's energy flared, illuminating hidden chambers filled with incredible technology capable of restoring dead planets, defending civilizations, and holding knowledge beyond imagination. The shadows lunged suddenly, massive and deliberate, but the alien released a surge of light, forcing them back. While Mara sprinted across collapsing platforms, her pulse pounding, every instinct screaming to survive. Of the chamber, Mara placed her hands on the sphere, feeling energy surge through her, connecting her to the alien, to the chamber, and to the history of a civilization lost but not forgotten. Images of destroyed cities, wars, and life-saving interventions flashed in her mind, showing her the magnitude of the choice before them. And she realized that their bond, their courage, and their trust would decide the outcome. With a final pulse of energy, guided by the alien, Mara stabilized the sphere, calming the chamber, neutralizing the shadows, and activating the hidden systems that could protect worlds without causing destruction. The tremors subsided, the chamber lights dimmed to a steady glow, and the alien's light softened, its body humming in quiet relief. Mara stepped back, exhausted but triumphant. Understanding that together they had survived the planet's ultimate test, protected its secret, and preserved knowledge that could shape the future. Outside the chamber, the wind howled across the barren plains, but the danger had passed, at least for now. Mara looked at the alien, eyes shining with a mixture of awe, gratitude, and something deeper, a connection born of trust and shared survival, a bond that had turned fear into courage and strangers into allies. "We did it," she whispered, her voice trembling, and the alien pulsed in acknowledgement, as if saying they were not just survivors but guardians of a secret that could change the universe. Though the chamber was calm, Mara knew that their journey was far from over. The universe was vast, full of mysteries, dangers, and challenges, but she no longer felt alone. With the alien beside her, she was ready to face whatever lay ahead, knowing that courage, trust, and the bonds forged in adversity could carry them through even the darkest nights. As they emerged from the ruins, the planet seemed to sigh, a soft vibration beneath their feet, as if acknowledging their victory. And Mara realized that this final choice, the decision to trust, to protect, and to act wisely, had not only saved their lives but had opened the door to hope for countless others. The Predator, unable to breach the chamber, retreated into the shadows, leaving them standing together, bruised, weary, yet alive, and Mara felt a profound sense of triumph, knowing that the alliance between human and alien was now unbreakable, and that their shared journey, though just beginning, held the promise of discovery, survival, and perhaps even redemption for a galaxy that had long forgotten the power of trust and courage.